volume.
Hello. Why don't we have any volume?
I don't know.
Can you hear us?
Oh, I can't hear him.
I think he can hear us.
Yeah. Do we need the auxiliary cable?
Yes.
Yes.
We're having some technical difficulties. You can hear us, but we can't hear you. Boom.
There you go, technology. So Steve, what we'll end up doing, I know you can hear us, but we'll go live in like a couple seconds. So we'll just be live on Facebook and Instagram, and we'll just do like the introductions at the beginning, ask you to tell you about ourselves, ask you to tell the listeners about yourself, and we have like a loose script planned, but we're just gonna talk lifting.
Oh, still can't hear. What the fuck is going on with this thing?
It's not available.
Hold on one sec. Is it me? Is this a me thing?
I don't know.
What, does it work if I take this out?
Give it a try. Steve, say something for us.
Nope. The volume button's there. Steve, can you say something?
Yes, hello.
There we go.
All right.
What you guys do?
I don't know. We broke something, and then we fixed it. Wait. Nope, now it's gone again.
So the people that are listening, right? So they can like send messages in and they can ask questions and all that, right?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yep. But for some reason, the audio thing is not... What's going on with this? Input.
How's the angle? Do I look big?
Look fucking yoked, man.
Yeah, you look pretty good.
Yes.
Put the HDMI in here. How about now?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Woo. Thank.
What, it was like muffled before?
It wasn't when we were hooking you up to the TV so people could see you. The audio wasn't going through. I guess we'll just have to use...
Yeah, as long as the microphone is close to the computer, it'll be good. I feel like we didn't used to use this.
You should just go through, right?
Yeah. Well, if you crank the volume here on the computer.
It is so that.
Alright, well, we'll just put the mic close to Steve.
You can get the amp if you want.
Nah, I think we'll be good.
Okay. Alright.
Alright, Steve, so we're going to get set up for the live feed here.
Alright.
a.m.
There he is on the big screen. You tell me when, Greg.
Good.
All right, here we go. Going live.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to episode 31 of the Strength House podcast. We are live on a Tuesday evening here in Worcester, Massachusetts. I got Tony to my right tonight, and we have special guest Steve Tripp from the Top Strength Project in Providence, Rhode Island. Ooh, I like the tank. Yep. I couldn't see it before because you were leaning forward, but...
Oh, shit! You know what, dude? I'd be lying if I said this was on purpose. I just wear this thing all the time. Hell yeah. That's
awesome.
Definitely thoughtful gift. Thank you again.
Yeah, of course. So Steve is a owner of the Top Strength Project, an awesome gym in Providence, Rhode Island. Steve and I go way back. Steve was actually my manager at my first ever personal training job, so he's taught me a lot about how to be a trainer, how to be a lifter, how to be a business owner. But we're super psyched to have you on the podcast because we can say all those nice things about you, but we want you on the podcast because you're a fucking awesome lifter. You're one of the strongest dudes that we've ever met and just train like an absolute savage. So I know you're going to have all kinds of knowledge that you can bestow on our listeners tonight.
Well, let's hope so.
So we have a tradition on this podcast, of course.
A tradition unlike any other.
Where we sample 2 wonderful craft beers. First of tonight, something a little bit different. So we've had almost nothing but IPAs on this show. Dabbled in stouts, dabbled in other little things, but tonight we have our first brown ale.
The Bear.
So we've got Bear from House Brewing Co. So while we pour Bear into our glasses here, Steve, why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about yourself?
I'll join you guys. I got
Tito's.
Wow. You know?
Yo, dead ass, that ladder I did, that ladder after that hit 700, I was like real nervous. So I'd take a couple hits of this to get me through that. It definitely helped.
I can't imagine you being nervous about anything, man.
Looking at that rep scheme, you saw it.
Yeah, I did.
I mean, a lot of those high sets, 525 for 10, 485 for 12. That hurts my stomach when I say that. You know.
And we'll get into squat ladders and 10x10s and all the other crazy stuff that you use to get really strong and really jacked. But why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about yourself, what the story is with the Top Strength Project, and what you got going on lifting-wise in your life?
Well, like I said, I'm Steve Tripp. I opened the Top Strength Project about, it's going to be 2 years in January. So coming up on 2 years. It's kind of hard to believe. And as far as this gym, I mean, the original kind of vision was kind of, as you guys know, like I've always just loved training. I've always loved different modalities and different types of training, from bodybuilding to powerlifting to strongman. I even did a lot of CrossFit for a while. I just really enjoy all the different types of training. And I kind of noticed when I went, after a few short years in the industry, it's kind of like they're all kind of at each other's throats. Like powerlifters think everyone's stupid, bodybuilders hate CrossFitters, and strongmen train in the Alps and caves by themselves, you know? And I just always kind of enjoyed all of it. And I also kind of, through my own practices, noticed a decent amount of overlap between all the different practices, right? So, I think a bodybuilder doing powerlifting for, say, 4 to 6 months even, to put some strength on to really help his bodybuilding and vice versa, whatever. Just general well-roundedness, not to be too tunnel vision. So the general vision of the Top Strength Project was to create a facility where I would have the necessary specialized equipment to facilitate all those niche fitness types and see if we could get them all training together and kind of vibing off each other and learning from one another and just kind of create some overlap and a good community and culture in doing that. And I was lucky enough over these last 2 years to acquire kind of specialized coaches in each of the niches. So Vanessa is the other trainer I hired with you years ago. She's very, very well-rounded, very warm, very magnetic, really makes people feel she does a lot of general population. And then John Amore came on in the very beginning. He has a background in bodybuilding, Olympic lifting, and a lot of corrective exercise, a lot of movement style training. He has a gymnastics background. And then Nick Pinero is our bodybuilding guy. He's a competitive bodybuilder. And then I have Christian, who's actually behind me right now. Say hello, Christian.
What's up, Christian?
So Christian is going to be in the Olympics for Olympic lifting. I mean, whenever he's ready. And then, I guess that makes me the strength guy. I run the powerlifting program here, and I'm a strongman competitor. So we kind of have all these different resources, I guess you could say, for people to come and try all these different fitness types. So it really creates a nice kind of cohesive community. And that was the general idea, and it's been really interesting seeing it kind of come to fruition over the last 2 years. And we'll see what happens next year and the year after that. It's a growing thing. It's really cool. So.
And you definitely created an awesome training environment there at Top Strength. Greg and I were very fortunate to get to train at your place quite a bit, as we were kind of moving into our space here at the Strength House. So highly encourage anybody who's in the Providence area to go check it out. Awesome facility, awesome equipment, really great people. You definitely, I think struck out, and to do what you're doing is very, very challenging, but you've done it extremely well, I think, to blend all those styles together.
I appreciate that. Yeah, it's as you guys know, it's not all butterflies and rainbows, but I couldn't be happier. I really enjoy it. It's just really nice to be here, and even just thinking about like myself as an individual, how much I've benefited and how much progress I've made in my training over the last 2 years, being able to train in a place like this, around people like this, it has been incredible. I mean, the progress I've made in the last 2 years compared to the 13 years before that, as an individual, it really speaks to, like you said, the atmosphere and the people. Being in the right groove around the right people really helps. We're definitely products of our environment. So that's kind of that was kind of the vision, and it's worked out pretty well so far.
Steve, like one question I have off that just made me think of it was, since we've opened a facility, I've felt like, I think we're all people that already took our training pretty seriously, took, the things we do outside the gym to help our training pretty seriously. But since we've opened a facility and it's only a few months old, it's already feel like this big sense of like having to be the example, having to, live the life that I'm trying to preach to other people. Do you think, is that something you felt when you opened the Top Strength Project? You think that kind of fed into the last 2 years at all for you?
Absolutely, yeah. But it was the same synergy. I worked at Boston Sports Club previous to that for a little over 4 years, both great gyms. And, it's true. I think you kind of feel, when you sit down and think about it, there's an obligation to lead by example. I've also learned in any professional field, you take notice to your boss, right? And I've had bosses that are very present, that lead by example, and I mean, that's contagious. When you see someone really putting themselves out there and really, someone that would never tell you to do anything that they wouldn't do themselves, right? And you pick up on that. And I've had bosses that constantly point the finger and say, do this, do that, and then leave. Right, Tony?
Yep.
And as effective as leading by example is, it's extremely destructive to go the other way. So as powerful as leading by example can be, trickling downhill to your employees, your staff, your coworkers, and your clients, going the other way, and giving direction verbally and not following through can be, I think, exponentially more destructive. So yeah, absolutely. Leading by example, it's definitely motivating. There are days when we don't want to do what we need to do, but we have people that kind of rely and lean on us. So you always do what it takes to get the job done.
Yeah, one of the first things you told me, and you literally taught me how to train people. I feel like when we first crossed paths.
What are you talking about?
No, seriously, like
Me how to train people.
no, I feel like I knew a lot about lifting, but I didn't know shit about like how to be a trainer. And one of the things that you told me right off the bat was like, you got to work out in front of the townspeople, so to speak. And like doing your training sessions on the training floor so people see you. Not only does it help you lead by example, but it attracts clients too. Do you think that helped you get build up your business and your client roster by being seen in front of people lifting weights and doing some pretty cool stuff?
Without a doubt. I mean, when I started, I wasn't going to be a trainer. I went to college because I got in a nasty car wreck and I broke a bunch of bones, and I wasn't going to be able to continue to do construction my whole life. So I went to college to give myself some options, and I studied exercise science. And when I got out, I had every intention of continuing doing trade work. I was building condos with a framing outfit, and the market crashed, and then I said, I guess I'll use my degree and start training. When I approached a gym and the business model and the way it works, I mean, you've been there. You walk into a gym and essentially you're on the floor and you walk around and talk to people, and I see you squatting, and I'll be like, hey man, your squat's a little banged up. Let me show you some stuff. And I'll show you some stuff, and then you'd be like, hey, that really helped out a lot. And I'll be like, great. If you want to keep doing this, we can set up some more sessions, and it's $100 an hour. I don't know about you, but I told me to fuck off. So I was like, really, you know what I mean? So I remember I had like an outburst. I was like, how am I going to make this work? How am I going to, first of all, feel confident enough to give somebody direction? Second of all, feel confident enough in my practice to sell it for that kind of a financial, sell my service for that much money. And really what happened was I was on the floor and I used to just train a lot, got talking to people. And then what really broke the ice for me was there was this massive sale that BSC had where you could get 3 half-hour personal training sessions for like $30. And they allowed us to sell that. And I sold like 50 of them to all these people I'd been kind of just chatting with over the last few months. And then for the next 2 or 3 months, I was on the floor around the clock training out all these sessions. So I had a lot of exposure. People saw me. People saw my craft. I learned. I refined kind of like my system on how to take people on and progress them. And I kind of like learned my song and dance. And you're so on stage when you train yourself, and you're even more on stage when you train a client. And people saw that. I was fortunate enough to build a decent business from the people that had bought the tri-packs. They ended up continuing on. And I think just being on stage and everyone in the gym seeing, the service, I ended up taking off. And the rest is kind of history. So absolutely, I mean, you need to kind of put yourself on stage. I mean, we're so on stage in a facility, especially with a gym with a big open layout. Boston Sports was a big open floor layout, and people always saw what we were doing. So definitely.
Yep. You never know who's watching. Can't take any plays off.
Assume everybody's watching.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's awesome to hear too, because I think one thing is, and you've come across a lot of young coaches. We've come across a lot of young coaches. A lot of coaches, especially now, are very entitled, and they don't think that they have to start at a place like a BSC or a commercial gym doing one-on-one personal training. But almost anyone.
How do you not do that?
I don't know. I don't know where the pipe dream originates, but
Instagram.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I guess there is a way, to get famous on Instagram now too. Yeah, but it goes to show, like, when you have to start in a place like that, and you really, it is like a giant tryout almost. Like, you have to actually prove to a bunch of people that you know what you're doing, that you're actually a fun person to be around, which is important on many levels as a coach and a trainer.
Yep. And I don't mean to keep blowing smoke up your ass, Steve, but like, you taught me how to be a fun person to be around as a trainer. That was always.
Well, let's be serious. We want to believe that we're coaches and we teach people how to lift weights, but that comes second to being, I don't know, a psychologist, friend, big brother, a life coach.
Yeah.
You
can't take yourself too seriously.
Clients, how many of them do you really just train and teach them how to squat? 3 of them? You have to be, people, and also for client retention. Think about it. People that you've been training for 4, 5, 6 years, like they should know how to work out by now.
Yeah.
Hopefully, what keeps them coming back? The accountability, but also the service, the camaraderie, the personal relationship.
I don't know enough about the squat to talk about it for an hour, so I got to fill it with something else to talk about.
Yeah.
Bend your knees, go all the way down, come all the way up.
Yeah.
What's your favorite movie?
Yeah.
It ends up just being an hour of counting if we can't talk about something.
Yeah. God. Glorified
That's
rep
very
counters.
true.
Well, Steve, I want to ask you about your lifting and your adventures in strength. So, like you said, you've dabbled in a lot of different things. It'd be hard to call you a powerlifter. Hard to call you a strongman competitor. You do a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
But I think what really, in my mind, defines you as a lifter is what you've gone through the past couple months. You know, you went to Strongman Nationals, had a little bit of an accident, and could have very well, training very well could have taken a back seat for you, but you kind of did the complete opposite. Can you tell people a little bit about the injury that you had during your strongman competition and what the training was like following that?
Sure. Well, the reason for all that is, it's not my first time getting injured. Injuries happen, right? If you're not getting injured, you're probably not pushing yourself hard enough, right? The injury in strongman was the fourth event, the second to last event. It was a sandbag carry. A 300-pound sandbag. I want to say it was 60 or 80 feet down and back for time. And just as I crossed the finish line, I felt my legs getting really spent. And I kind of knew I was going down, but I didn't know that bag was going to just drop me forward like it did. So when my legs gave up, whereas I crossed the finish line, the bag pulled me down, and I landed right on my forearm. Not being a hard ass, it really genuinely wasn't painful. I just thought maybe I had a contusion or a hematoma or something like that. I actually had it worked on. They had massage therapists and chiropractors right on staff, so she was pulling on it and massaging it, and it really felt fine. And I was sitting in like third or fourth place at the time. And the final event was the Atlas Stone, which is a really strong event for me. I think I actually still may hold the record in New York for my weight class. So I was like, I'm going to get this done, So I had my girlfriend Amy and my buddy Steve that I was with get my shirt on. They tacked me all up. And I went to pull the stone, and I just had no strength in my arm at all. That was a Saturday. I flew home, decided to get some imaging done. I got an x-ray done on Wednesday, and my olecranon, which is the proximal side of your ulna, was broken clean through all the way to the elbow. I couldn't believe the x-ray when I saw it. So then I ended up getting surgery the next week. They put in 10 screws and 2 plates. And to be completely upfront, I was squatting, 4 days before that. Injuries. I'm just like most other people. Like I'm danced this dance before. Injuries happen. I'm no stranger to injury. And I had this epiphany at Boston Sports Club. I ride motocross, and I took a little fall on my bike. Same story. Didn't know it was broken. Got an x-ray 3 weeks later because it wasn't improving. And he's like, hey, man, your humerus is broken, dude. So I said, all right, whatever. And I got a little discouraged because the first thing that we think about is, oh, man, my bench is here. I'm going to take so many steps back. I'm going to take so many steps back. But to me, the best way to think about an injury is it's a great opportunity to refine your direction. You are forced. You are obligated to. So my arm, I couldn't train my arms. I'm injured. Great opportunity to strengthen my core, strengthen my legs, flexibility, whatever. Focus on my business. It's a great opportunity to refine your direction. So that was something that I experienced 6 or 7 years ago. The last time I broke my right arm. So same story here. I sat down on Monday when I got back from Nationals, and I wrote down an exercise bank. I was like, what can I do, right? And I'm fortunate enough to have a lot of specialty bars here, so I was like, I can do SSB squats. That balances on my back. So I have squats, I have split squats, I have good mornings and all the variations, pauses, boxes, chains, right? I can do all that stuff. I thought about floor exercises, all my machines. So I basically made a big, long list of everything that I could do at that point, and I put together a 4-day split, which was 2 high-volume leg days and then 2 strength leg days, essentially. And the idea was to do 2 days on, 1 day off, but that very quickly became all days on. And I, honest to God, I'm not exaggerating. I trained legs every day for just about every day. I didn't train the day of my surgery or the day after because I was in a lot of pain. But legs, just about, there are those squat everyday programs, and there's a lot of people that think it's impossible or think it's too much. I can tell you guys definitively, your legs can take a beating every single day. You can't squat heavy every day, but you can smash your legs every day and make progress.
And when you say like you had 2 high volume leg days, sometimes people's interpretation of high volume is a little bit skewed. Your interpretation of high volume would kill most people. Like what are you talking about when you say like a high volume leg day?
Well, on the complete end of that spectrum, it would be like a pre-exhaustion style day, right? So let's say if I'm really sore and achy, the strength obviously isn't there. I'll do all single joint exercises first. Let's say in the realm of 5 sets each exercise, 10 to 20 or more reps. So like leg extensions, leg curls. Do single leg, then double leg. Superset, compound sets. Just keep it moving. Get a bunch of blood and fluid in the muscle. Then all of a sudden, I'm not sore anymore. Then all of a sudden, I feel great and I can do whatever I want. So usually, I'll keep kind of doing the pre-exhaustion song and dance while I'll move on to say a split squat or a leg press, and then I'll finish with 5 sets of 10 to 20 squats. Obviously, a third of what you normally do for a set of 10, but you feel everything. And I think there's tremendous value to that, not only from a muscular standpoint, getting all the bad stuff out of the cells and some good fresh nutrients in with all that swelling and all that pump, but also from a joint standpoint, just getting a lot of peripheral circulation in the muscle. And I think it's stressful, but it makes me feel great the day or two after. So yeah, high volume is 4, 5, 6 sets of 8 to 10 plus reps, I'd say.
And you had the results to show for it at the end of it in terms of your maximal strength as well. You hold your how often do you hold your super total at the Top Strength project?
Three times a year, 4 times a year, and it ends up being like every 4 months or so.
Yeah, and for the listeners who don't know, the super total is like powerlifting plus weightlifting. So squat, bench, deadlift, snatch, and clean and jerk. So it's basically everything. And you worked up to a pretty heavy squat there. So what kind of gains did you see on your maximal squat over that like squat every day project that you did?
Well, I don't really know because I had no intentions of squatting that day because, like I said, that was like day 47 in a row. Usually you take like an easy week before maxing out, But I had, I felt fine, I felt good, and the biggest issue with super total was this arm was still really banged up. I really had limited use of it. I mean, it was like a string bean. So like being able to really, I had just started squatting under a stiff bar, a straight bar again, because I was doing SSB and camber for a long time, and I want to say the first time I was under a straight bar again was on my 30th birthday. I did 315 to 30, and I think the super total was a week after that. So I've been back under a straight bar for a week, but I really didn't have that strength to lock my lats in, you know what I mean, especially on the left side. So I ended up working up, and I hit 7. I just missed 7. 650 flew, 675 flew, and then I got under 7, and in the bottom I came out, and I lost this elbow, and they had to help me on the way up. But I'm really confident I have 700 pounds all day. I'm actually looking to hit that for a double probably in the next 2 or 3 weeks.
That's madness,
I'm actually going to be strategic and taper down and take a week and then hit some maxes.
If you guys,
same thing with my deadlift. Tremendous carryover with my deadlift too. Same thing, deadlift's up too.
And that's crazy. Obviously, you weren't able to deadlift that whole time, but just training so much of the squat and good mornings and posterior chain stuff without having a bar in your hands, man, volume works. Volume is, I always say, is like the great equalizer. Like when you get really strong, you can't always go heavier all the time, but you can always do more work.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Think about it. Use volume for 2 purposes. For one, you got to get blood in your muscles. Let's say bodybuilders, they train for the pump, they train for the swell, drop sets, supersets. They want to get blood in muscle, tear down tissue. Strength guys train movements. So, when we're hitting a set of 3 of squats, let's say, I'm not feeling a damn thing in my legs. I'm feeling it in my face. It's like pressure. I feel like my head's going to pop. And that's how heavy training should feel. But there's a tremendous amount of value to kind of learning and feeling the muscles that create the squat, the muscles that create the bench, the muscles that create the deadlift, creating, intense tension and the mind to muscle connection. So, volume is a great tool, I think, to keep the muscles healthy, keep the joints healthy and feeling good, but also you create a conscious connection to the squat, to the muscles that create it, so that when you load that weight on, it's just there. And you can focus on the movement, and the muscles that create it are the right muscles. But you don't have to think about it because you've done that volume work through a training cycle, that it's right there, So a lot of times when people are getting tired and getting achy and they start moving really shitty, you put them on a volume cycle and get them feeling the lifts, get them feeling the muscles, and then that carries over to, the strength lifts. But also, if they can add some muscle, right? More muscle, more weight, right? Mass moves mass. Yep. So I think there's a tremendous amount of carryover. Doing volume and then doing some bodybuilding to carry back over to your power lifts.
I agree 100%. Like, I think that's where a lot of power lifters make their mistake is they never go into like a off-season type program, which essentially is bodybuilding. Like, that's exactly what it should be. And I think all of the best lifters and the ones that stay in the game for the long term are the guys that do that well. Even if, like you said, it could be 4 months worth of bodybuilding, or maybe you just like run things in 3-month blocks, like 3 months of strength, 3 months of bodybuilding, for 4 cycles total or something like that. But that's a huge part of it.
Yeah. And you change your implements a lot too, just because a lot of times you're training for strongman as well, so that might inherently take you away from the barbell lifts a little bit. I feel like that sort of rotation of exercises, not all the time, but kind of on a regular basis, helps you stay healthy and in the game too.
Yeah, and well-rounded, and I don't think I trained the strongman implements as much as I could. I think because there's just tremendous carryover to front squats and back squats and deadlifts and overhead pressing, obviously, to the strongman implements. I think, preparing for nationals and New York Strongest Man and Rhode Island Strongest Man, usually the strongman implements, if at all, are done at the end for like conditioning, light to get a feel for the moves. And then let's say 4 to 6 weeks before the competition, I'll switch the order and I'll use the implements in the beginning and get up to comp weight. But if you just train the barbell lifts really, really well, your ability to dive into anything else is right there, because those are the fundamentals. You can try and put bells and whistles on, some new bar, some new way of training, all you want, but barbell, as you guys know, we're strength snobs. As you guys know, the barbell lifts is the foundation. And if you train them really well, you can go in any direction you want.
Yep, it's really well said.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, the direction we're going to go in is beer number 2.
Yeah.
So we just had beer, a brown ale, which I really liked.
That was good. Yeah.
I guess I don't drink a lot of brown ale, so I guess I didn't know what to expect. It was more like portery, more like stoutish
type taste to it.
Yep. And now we've got Old Man, also from Treehouse, an extra special bitter, a style I'd never even heard of.
Didn't know it existed until this. Nope.
But this is very far away from an IPA, much more malty, not a lot of like hot bitterness. All the fucking spoiled brats who love Treehouse don't like this beer that much. And it's definitely different, but I don't like whining. So whenever I hear people whine about this, it pisses me off.
No time for whining, man.
No way.
One thing I wanted to bring up just for the listeners, because I think I don't know if we've talked about it before, but I don't want to dwell on it. But it was a good point. Is Steve, you said when you hurt yourself, you made a list of everything that you could do. And if there's one thing that pisses me off, it's this whole new thing with strength coaches where you do an assessment and you just outline everything somebody can't do. You don't have the flexibility to do this, you can't do that, and then they're doing long sessions of just corrective exercise, if that's what they want to call it. And if there's one thing to take away from that, whether you're injured or whether you're training someone that thinks they're injured or claims that they're banged up, make a list of things that they can do. Like, your job is to train somebody and give them a training effect, and if you're worth your weight, then you'll be able to come up with a pretty long list no matter how banged up somebody is. You can come
I
up
was
with
sitting
something.
behind that list, bro, when I made it, and I was like, holy shit, look at all the stuff I can do. Because it's stuff that I wouldn't normally do because, we're wrapped around the competitive list, barbell squats, barbell benching, and I couldn't do that. So when I made this list of all this other stuff, I was like, no, it's cool shit that I haven't been doing. You know what I mean? When's the last time I maxed out an SSB split squat?
Right.
Absolutely great direction. But even just the way it's communicated, when you meet with somebody, I'm not telling them what they can't do. I'm looking at them and saying, all right, they have these limitations. But the limitations, your challenges create your direction, right? So I'm not communicating, you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do that. I'm just saying, this is what we're doing. Now, it's because of the imbalances and the things that we found, but I'm not going to talk about what we can't do. I'm going to talk about what we're going to do to get them to where they want to go. And a lot of the time, it's just the way the message is communicated, right?
Absolutely.
Your challenge lights your direction, without a doubt.
Yeah. And it's likely that, it's why it's important to work at a place, to train at a place, to be a person that's put a lot of time underneath the bar if you're going to coach other people. Because to me, it's a dead giveaway when another coach doesn't harp on the things that you can do. They harp on the things that you can't do. That kind of shows me that, you haven't put much time at all under the bar, because I can think of 100 things that you can do, even if you walked in on one leg missing a hand.
And the people who put a lot of time under the bar also understand that there are a lot of things that people can't do that don't really matter. You know what I mean? Like a lot of things not even worth mentioning, or things that, like this person lacks a little bit of range of motion in this joint, but you know what? It has zero impact on their ability to train hard. So don't even mention it.
It's something that will probably correct itself if you just focus on that. Just moving well, not adding weight or resistance to a dysfunctional movement pattern, really becoming obsessed with movement quality. A lot of those imbalances all of a sudden just kind of conveniently disappear if you just really focus on the quality of what you're doing.
So I'm really curious, speaking of focusing on what you can do and all the exercises that you found you were able to do despite your injury, what did the doctor have to say when you looked at your X-ray and saw that nice fissure right there through your bone? What did the doctor have to say to you?
I was very fortunate. I got recommended to see. I went to Miriam, and I got hooked up with this guy named Scott Paxton, who was I'd actually heard his name in the past. He's a very, very well-respected orthopedic surgeon, really cool guy. I really love meeting with a specialist who doesn't glorify what just happened. Like, oh my God, like this guy came in, he saw the X-ray, it was serious, but you just knew he'd been there before. And that gave me a lot of comfort. I didn't want to make this a lifetime problem. So I wanted to follow direction. He definitely throttled me a little bit. He definitely, I think, told me to not do X, Y, and Z a little more excessive than maybe he could have, because I think he knew what I did. He knew my lifestyle. So in the beginning, he just said, I didn't need a cast because of all the hardware. And he was just like, dude, stay off it. If you do things with it, there's, what's the word he used? Basically, when the bone literally doesn't connect again. It escapes me, but he definitely kind of neutered me. He didn't want me to really, really dive back into it. And I was working with a great physical therapist, this kid Nick Bruno, who also is very conscious of my lifestyle. And he was like, you can start pressing it a little bit. And then a month and a half ago, I was about 6 weeks or 8 weeks post-op, and the X-ray was looking like shit. I mean, the crack was still there, and I could tell he was kind of like, do you have any pain? No, I genuinely have no pain at all. If anything hurt, I would stop. And I was a week out from Rhode Island's Strongest Man, and I wasn't really sure if I was going to be able to compete. I was pretty sure I wasn't going to be able to compete. And I was just kind of like, can I deadlift? He was like, honestly, he's like, if it doesn't hurt, if it genuinely doesn't hurt, you can do whatever you want. So that day I went home to the gym, and I tried all the strongman events. I deadlifted for the first time, no pain. Pulled the stone, no pain. What else was it? A couple carries, a farmer's hold, no pain at all in the joint. So I was like, fuck it, man. I'm going to do Rhode Island's strongest man. I couldn't do the overhead press at all. I don't have extension. Even still to this day, I can't really flex my arm. But I ended up doing Rhode Island's strongest man. I was able to win, even taking a 0 in the first event. And then a week and a half later was my last x-ray. And the x-ray looked great. It looked great. Bone really started to heal where there wasn't healing. Really just all the way up top, there's a little void where the bone isn't healed yet. He was thrilled. He said, man, it looks great. He's like, you're cleared to really do whatever you want. He asked about my pain because I have some tendonitis, and he gave me a cortisone shot. And I was kind of debating, like, telling him about the competition and stuff, but I said, no, I'm not going to say anything. But he already knew. He didn't know, but one of the girls behind the front counter must follow the gym on Instagram or something. And he's like, he wouldn't tell me which one, but he was like, yeah, he's like, one of the secretaries said something about a competition or something. He's like, you just compete in a competition? So I kind of like got all red, and I was like, yeah. I just won Rhode Island's strongest man like a week and a half ago. And he goes, yeah? I said, yeah. He goes, nice to know you've been taking it easy. He's like, you said there were videos. Can I see some of the videos? I'm like, hell yeah. So I pulled my phone out, and I showed him some of the edits. And one of the edits that I did was the sandbag carry, the event that I had actually hurt myself in. And I had spliced in, the injury, and then I spliced in, the work he'd done to my arm. And he loved it. He was psyched. He was like, man, that's so cool. He's like, can you send me those videos? I said, hell yeah. He gave me his email, and he said, would you mind meeting with my PR guy? I'd love to have him come down and interview you based on your experience and how quick you were able to get back into what you were doing. And, it'd really be a cool thing. And I said, dude, absolutely, send him down. So I'm meeting with his PR guy next week just to talk about my experience and the surgery and everything. So it ended up working out really good. So me and my surgeon are pretty much boys now. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Yep.
Yeah.
I remember keeping up with the whole process on Instagram. If you guys are listening, you have to check out Steve. He's one of the best follows on Instagram. Period.
Your story is excellent.
Yeah.
I actually look forward to it.
Thank you.
Which brings me to the next thing I wanted to ask you about. So you started kind of like a regular content schedule where you have Strength Tip Tuesdays. And the first one you put out, I liked a lot. It was like, what was it, the 10 reasons why you're not getting bigger or something like that?
10 reasons why you're not growing, yeah.
10 reasons why you're not growing. It was aggressive. It was, you pulled no punches. You told it like it was. We need more of that, in this industry. What inspired you to put together that Strength Tip Tuesday?
Well, Strength Tip Tuesday actually started about a year and a half ago when I started the gym. And it started off as kind of like a funny little, like the first Strength Tip Tuesday, I was training this client, Dave, and I was like, Strength Tip Tuesday, the best way to add size to your shoulders is to put down your cell phone. And I posted it. And that was it. And I did maybe like a dozen or 18, kind of like that. They were all around, a minute or two or less. I did one about nutrition. I did one about squat depth. Sweatsuits, just a lot of shoes, footwear, kind of the same, sarcastic, kind of aggressive demeanor. And then I stopped for a bit, and then the 10 reasons why I'm not growing was kind of the first one. I started doing YouTube, so I made kind of a more quality video. I started to learn how to edit videos a bit, and that was the first one that I did, just kind of getting back into it. But what inspires Strength Tip Tuesday is just that, kind of the industry, a lot of kind of the softness and the over complications of everything, and just kind of the general disposition that I see every day in the industry. So just kind of like giving a more bare bones, aggressive approach to training, because I noticed in gyms, like when I used to go to college, I would go to a gym at home, then I'd go to college, and then I'd come back for the next summer and go back to the gym, and I'll notice the same people were there, and nobody was changing. Nobody. They were doing the same thing. They weren't any bigger. They weren't any stronger. If anything, they were smaller. And I started to kind of think, why is that? I mean, they're here 15 hours a week. what aren't they doing? So that's kind of what created, the content for that. 10 Reasons Why You're Not Growing. And like you said, it was great. I got a lot of great feedback, and I look forward to kind of keeping that content coming.
Yeah, well, I know Instagram gets you fired up, Greg. I know that very, very often you express your distaste with the way that fitness professionals use social media.
Yeah. I want you to do a Strength Tip Tuesday on just making fun of all the bullshit on Instagram, the infographics, the quotes, I don't know, it goes on. Those two really piss me off, though.
Motivational memes and bullshit. I feel like all the people that post that shit are like the most unmotivated people ever.
Yeah.
All the people that are posting those memes aren't doing a damn thing. It's like, I feel like the people that are putting in the work and actually making progress aren't putting up any of that.
Right. And from a coaching standpoint, I can never get over so you call yourself a coach and your entire fucking Instagram is infographics and quotes, and I don't see a single video of anyone that you actually coach getting better at what they do. If I was looking as a client, and fitness is a results-based industry, bottom line. I don't care how you're getting from A to B. If you're getting people from A to B, those are the people that you want to work with. It's a results-based industry, and if you can't get people from A to B, then you're not good at what you do. And there's a lot of different ways to get there. But if you have a whole, Instagram should be a great place to showcase the fact that here was John Smith and he could squat 200 and now he squats 400. People actually lifting, people actually doing things, and it's just drives me nuts. But
the reason why you don't see a lot of that, Greg, is because there isn't a lot of that. There's a lot of people getting results. Unfortunately, this industry, as well as others, is just a lot of fluff. It's a lot of BS. It's a lot of herba, advocare, Shakeology bullshit. And, so you're not seeing a lot of people posting awesome results because a lot of people aren't getting them,
Yeah.
Yeah. I always say, people saying they run out of ideas for content. Well, if you train a lot of people and you actually exercise yourself, you'll almost never be short for content. Because you post videos of your clients doing awesome stuff, you post videos of yourself doing awesome stuff, and you can fill a timeline all fucking day.
Well, you don't need to, no one's reinventing the wheel, and I think that's what keeps people from posting stuff is that, the good stuff is that they want to do something new and something exciting and something fresh, but there is nothing new and exciting and fresh, man. Barbell weightlifting, eat meat, eat vegetables, train really hard, and find a way to stay motivated and, my God, consistent. You have to find a way to be consistent. You have to be motivated, and that's it. It's the simple stuff. The hardest part is doing the simple stuff really well, day after day after day. There's no new fluff. There's nothing new, man. It's all the simple stuff.
I hate to say it, but I would put that on a quote, inspirational quote. That would fit pretty well.
Yeah,
absolutely. It's the simple stuff, man. It's the basics. No one's reinventing the wheel.
Yeah. Consistency is that's kind of always a go-to line I always go to with people too. Is how did so and so get to where they are right now? They were consistent. There's nothing special about them that you don't have. It's just they showed up every day.
Yeah.
And it's
for a decade.
Yeah, for every day for a while.
Long ass time, yeah.
And then the other way is it's a really good sales point. I hate sales, but I don't mind telling the truth to people. And the truth is all right, I go to this gym now. I'm thinking about coming to your gym. Okay, well, do you show up at the gym that you go to now, every day? Yeah, I show up there 4 or 5 times a week. I've been doing that for so many years. Okay, obviously you're not happy because you're sitting in my gym right now or our gym right now. The difference between there is finding a place where where showing up is enough. If you show up here, it's going to be enough because we're going to force you to be enough. You're going to be around people that are going to make it be enough. If you show up at the Top Strength Project, even if it's not your best day, you walk through the door, the like-minded, it's someone else's best day, and that's going to motivate you to take your training to the next level as well. So consistency.
Everyone having eyes on each other, everyone wanting everyone else to succeed.
Yeah.
Really plays a huge role.
Right. So, like, I always tell people, like, try to find a gym where being consistent is enough. Because not everyone's as driven as some of us, right? Like, it's not like that screw's not loose in their head the same way it is in our heads. So that idea of being like, you know, if you just show up here every day, it's going to be enough because we're going to take it from there kind of thing. But
yeah. That's another thing people will say that drives me nuts. It's like, you know, I'm here, and that's the most important thing. I'm like, dude, that literally makes you want to throw up. Like, no, it's not fucking enough, dude. Like, we got to get to it. Like, let's go, you know?
Right.
Kind of another epiphany I had recently, and this is why this is something that social media has really helped me out as an individual is that app Time Hop. Like, I feel the same I felt 10 years ago, right? You don't really... It's hard to be really cognizant of the progress you made over time. So Time Hop will drop this video of me from like a year ago or 2 years ago or 3 years ago. And I'll be like, holy shit, look at that, right? So I recently hit, let's just say, I recently hit like 600 for a triple or something like that on my squat. And I remembered very distinctly when I hit 550 for a triple because I remember that lift. I remember the day, and I remember that was just one of those days where I was like, shit, that was one of the best sets of squats I ever had. I was prepping for a meet, and I hit 550 for a triple. I remember having Christian to my right, John to my left. I watched the footage. I was like, that was dope. And I just hit 6 for a triple. I was like, how long ago was that? How long did it take for me to add 50 pounds to my back squat, right? And I looked, and it was 9 months. It was 9 months, right? And I thought about that a lot. I think I stayed up in bed. I didn't even fall asleep. I was just thinking about that. Because that's what tools like us think about all night. But I was like, 9 months. I was like, if 9 months ago you told me that if I trained my ass off every day for 9 months, I'd be able to do what I just did with 50 more pounds at the bar, that wouldn't have been enough. It wouldn't have been enough to motivate me to do everything that I did in 9 months. I mean, think about it, 9 months. How many squat workouts is that? How many food preps? How many scoops of whey protein do you think I had in 9 months? 9 months, right? So that was a pretty cool thought process that I had, and I kind of communicate that to my clients. I'm like, what motivates you to come here? Are you just coming here to get stronger? Because that'll get you somewhere, but that's not going to get you to really where you want to go. You really got to find out what motivates you. Why are you here? Because if just getting stronger is it, I don't think that's enough, because that wouldn't have been enough for me. And it's really just trying to figure out how to genuinely find enjoyment in the process. You know, really enjoying the act of training, the act of eating, the act of feeling good, you know? Because if you don't have that, I really think it's going to be hard to do what it takes to stay consistent. You really got to enjoy what you're doing. You really have to become a product of the process. Because if your goal is, you know, I just want to squat 600, I think it's going to take a little bit more to really get you there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. That's why I think facilities like yours and small gyms like this are so important, because it exposes you to it instills that in you in a way that more bigger commercial gyms, I just don't think do that for a lot of people. But
yeah.
Well, speaking of Time Hop, it's Halloween a year ago today, or Halloween last year. You did a photo shoot. You had a mask on. You were lifting weights, and suddenly now you're the face of Mask 2, Pat Davidson's infamous program.
The masked face.
Yep, the masked face. So we had Pat Davidson on a couple weeks ago. He talked to us about the evolution of the mask program, and you ended up winning the Mask 2 challenge, which was an insane bunch of exercises done for a ton of reps, heavy ass weight. What inspired you to take on that challenge?
Oh man, nothing. I mean,
that's exactly what I hoped you would say.
That was sick. I felt so fortunate to even have been invited to try that. I forget how I even got connected to it. I think Henry. And I just won New York Strongest Man, I think, a few months before. So I was kind of like in that network. And this challenge was dropped. I was like, what an awesome idea to just... Because that's why I think CrossFit's so cool, is because there's all these standards, and anybody can do these like WODs, these benchmark WODs, and see how they stack up with the rest of the world. So I was like, how cool is this? This epic challenge. And it's like, within these parameters, the most weight you could possibly lift. I was like, this is sick. I got to try this. And I was actually prepping for a meet. I think I was prepping for nationals. I was like a few months out. And I was like, I got to try this. I got to work this in, you know? And, yeah, I ended up winning by a pretty big margin.
That's an understatement. Like the score is total volume, total tonnage moved, right?
Yeah.
And yours was in what, like 80,000 something pounds, wasn't it?
I was like mid 80s. I looked at the workout and I was just kind of like thinking about how to approach it. And I'm like, dude, 100,000 or bust, 100K. Because it was 6 rounds of a back squat, bench press, pen lay row. I'm sorry, trap bar deadlift, bench press, pen lay row, back squat, incline dumbbell press. So the 5 strongest lifts, right? But it was done under a time signature. So you had 20 seconds to get 10 reps, 40-second rest, right on to the next lift. You do a full circuit, 3-minute recovery. So I did the math out, and I was like, 100K, dude, all day. I was out of my mind, dude. But I ended up running it, and I got 80 my first go-around, and I didn't record it. And then I ended up going at it again, and I went for like 88 or something, and I ended up missing a couple reps. And I was really nervous to post it, because basically you had to post your attempt, and then they watched it and made sure it was, you know, up to standard. But like, what a huge advantage it is to know, like, all right, this guy got 88,000. I got to get 88,005 pounds to beat him. So you work the numbers. So I was really nervous, but my goal was to submit the video, and then attempt it again the day before the deadline. But I ended up not having to do it. You know, I was watching kind of the feed and people talking, and everyone was like around 60,000 and 65,000. And they're like, who's going to be the first to break 70? And I was kind of sitting here like, I did 83 last week. So I was thinking like I was thinking, you know, across New England, there had to have been a couple other guys that were thinking the same thing. Like, I'm not going to drop my score. Someone's going to know exactly what they have to be. So I'm sitting there like, am I going to put it up? I was like, fuck it, I'm going to put it up. So I put it up. And really just because I told Pat, I was like, you know, I hit 84 or 83 or whatever. And watching the feed, he said something. Everyone's like, who's going to break 70? Who's going to break 70? And Pat's like, I got some dude in Rhode Island said he did 84. And everyone's like, he's full of shit. There's no way. There's no way anybody did that. So I was like, so I ended up putting the video up. And the night before the deadline, I was ready to do it again, but I was just kind of waiting for somebody to post a video to beat my score, and nobody did. It ended up being enough. Someone, however, did post low 70s, 73, 74,000. And this kid, I think, is the coach for the New Jersey Devils. And he's like 190 pounds. So if you ask me, that is by far an impressive feat. You know, I was 265 at the time. So granted, I put up more total weight move, but I'm a bigger guy. I got 70, 80 pounds on this dude. This guy, I think, is 185 pounds, and he put up 70K. So relative, that's crazy.
That's insane.
That was really impressive.
I think your ability to do that is a testament to your style of training over the years. Like when Mass came out, I couldn't help but think like that's kind of the style of training that you've been doing for years, right? Like a lot of weight and a lot of fucking reps.
Yeah, I'd say I was prepared. But however, I definitely don't. I've never tracked my rest periods. I've done EMOMs, right? So every minute on the minute, doing sets like that. But I've never been one to time my rest periods. When I feel good, I hit my next set. So that was kind of the greatest challenge. And that's really what I loved about it. Was just like shit. Like there's 315 on the bar for a set of 10, no problem. But dude, I'm tired. And you just got to go. You just got to hit your reps. So that was why it was such a great challenge for me. And I really enjoyed it. And additionally, what a great network of guys to get connected with. Pat Davidson, Ben House. I'm actually shooting to New York tomorrow night to finally meet him. Him and all of his followers has just been a great kind of support system. Just a great group of people in the strength and conditioning realm to be associated with. So I'm really glad that I did it. I was fortunate enough to win, and I just really look forward to meeting with him and kind of collaborating with him in the future.
I'm excited for you to meet Pat. They talk about a match made in heaven. You two guys are you're gonna hit it off.
Yeah, Pat's the man. Pat is the very, very rare mix of, absolute savage in the gym and someone that is just really, really smart and studies up, just studies up in a wide variety of areas. And, thank God we have someone like that who reads so much of everything that's out there, because I actually trust how he interprets it, because I'm like, well, I've seen this guy train.
Yeah,
I know this.
He's a guy that's under the bar.
Right.
He's a guy that reads but also trains. Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, that's the litmus test.
If he's saying something is worthwhile, then I'm going to listen to what he has to say.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like I said, very fortunate to become associated with him and his group, and I'm really looking forward to the seminars actually Thursday. So
awesome.
I have one quick question. Steve, I don't know you as well. I know you and Tony know each other better. Who are some of the big influences? Who are some of the people that really molded the way that you train yourself now? Are there some other coaches out there, or books you've read, or certain people?
Shit. I don't know. I just started training really young, and I was just in a gym at Dighton Rehoboth High, and I just started working out with some of the older guys and just training. I never really followed anybody until kind of more recently with social media kind of having all that stuff so available. I just kind of learned my way, throughout training at different gyms with different people. I never really had, I honestly can't say I really had a specific mentor. As far as now, guys that I really look up to, I really like Stan Efferding and Michael Hearn, because they're older and they're just so strong and they're just savages, and they just, those are guys that have just been consistent for years and years and years, and I just respect that, and I think that they're just real products of their work,
Yeah.
I also really like Dmitry Koklov, the Olympic lifter, because he is crazy strong and also really well-rounded. He's in an Olympic level. I think he's a silver medalist, and he does a lot. He'll throw himself in a bodybuilding show or do a Strongman event. He's just a really well-rounded guy. But as far as over the years, I never really had anybody that I specifically really looked up to. Just kind of being in the gym and being around other people and learning from them and just training is kind of how it started for me. To be completely honest,
Yeah.
Fantastic answer.
No, absolutely, yeah.
Maybe I should have found somebody at a younger age. I'd probably be in a much better position now.
No, I don't know, dude. I think you're probably better off, because I feel like too many people try to find somebody or something to hang their hat on, and it's okay,
Sure.
I'm a starting strength guy, or I'm a West Side guy, and marry themselves to that method so much. But like you said, you've taken a little bit of everything, and when we first met, I thought of you more as a bodybuilder, just because you did more than fucking 5 reps per set. And then you got me out of that mindset of you can only do low reps. No, you can do a set of 10 here or there. So the fact that you've been molded by your experience, that's kind of rare these days, right? People are more molded by other people, putting thoughts in their head. But to be molded by your own experience is rare, and I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
I had somebody, a close friend that started training here now, and she said something that really resonated with me, because I find that a lot of what you find in the industry, you ever notice when someone's talking or a video or giving you information, you're listening to them and it's not theirs. You feel like they're basically just regurgitating something that was told to them or something that they read, and that they're not under the bar, like you said. I hear that, and it's just not valid. It just doesn't resonate with me, because I've already heard it. It's already been said before. And someone that started coming here said that you don't what you get here, you don't get anywhere else. Just the way that myself and my coaches communicate exercise and coach exercise, I think it's because it's from experience. It's not from reading textbooks, And I thought about that, and that really struck a chord with me. I thought that was really, really cool and really, really special, because the service that we provide here is unlike anything else, in the sense that the way that we communicate and relay and the programs we write and kind of our style is ours, because it was kind of learned and refined through our own experience, and not just from reading textbooks and following somebody else, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
Really nice thing to hear.
Yeah, that's a great compliment.
It is.
Yeah. Well, Steve, we know you're a busy guy, business owner on top of all the lifting that you do. So we won't tie you up too much longer, but we want to know, where can the listeners find out more about you and what you're doing?
All the normal hubs, Facebook, Instagram, the Top Strength Project on Facebook, at the Top Strength Project on Instagram. My handle's StripCam. That's because it's my name. And camera. I don't know if that was the best idea, but yeah, StripCam, StripCam, and then obviously the TopStrengthProject.com. Would love to hear from you guys, some feedback on today. Yeah, I really appreciate you guys having me on. I really enjoyed this.
Absolutely. Steve, you're one of the best follows on Instagram out there.
Yeah.
Pure gold, entertainment, inspiration. I look forward to it every day, man.
Yeah, it's authentic, man. That's what I love about it, It's just you guys doing what you do and loving what you do and being passionate about it, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah, I really appreciate that, guys.
Yeah. Well, if you guys are ever in the Providence area, number one, stop by my house. We'll have a beer. Number two, go to the Top Strength Project. Check it out. Meet Steve. Train in an awesome environment. Definitely love what those guys are doing there. So we'll put Steve's info in the show notes so you can follow him. And any other housekeeping things that we got?
We're still got, towards the end of this week, still looking for people who want to do their first powerlifting meet. We got a special going on, so if you're thinking about competing, if it's something that you want to do, there's a great novice meet in the town right next to here. We're signing people up, training you for 12 weeks. If that's something you're interested in, please reach out and let us know, because we're 12 weeks out right now, which is a really great time to get started.
Yep, time is ticking.
Yep. Other than that, I think that's about it.
I think that's it. Thank you so much, Steve,
Yeah,
for coming
thanks,
on
Steve,
with
so
us.
much.
And we will
Thanks,
see
guys.
you guys
Appreciate
very
it.
soon.
Boom. Turn off the live. That one's already off, I think. Awesome. Thanks, man, so much. That was great.
Oh, my pleasure, guys. That was awesome.
I got to go pee really quick, but I'll be right back.